Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. We have another special guest this week. Weekend. We don't do these weekly. They're not that scheduled. They're not that perfect. Remember, it's the Unperfect podcast. But we got a special one this week. Good buddy of mine that has came up through the ranks of bass fishing. I'm really excited for you guys to hear his story because he has done a lot of things that a lot of other anglers want to be able to do, and he's done it the right way for a long time. And he's spent a long time in the Bassmaster Opens grinding his way. And we were talking about this last night of like how he's never had the vision of things just coming easy, and his road to the Bassmaster Elite Series has been far from easy, but he is officially a Bassmaster Elite Series professional. And so we're going to welcome Bassmaster rookie, Josh Douglas. How's that sound?
That sounds awesome.
Yeah?
Man. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me.
You're like officially a Bassmaster Elite Series rookie.
Yeah.
You're far from a fishing rookie.
Yeah, I don't feel like a rookie.
You're just technically on paper a Bassmaster Elite Series rookie.
Yeah, definitely.
So, how does that feel?
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
We're 5 derbies in. Like, how do you feel about your first season so far?
Yeah, it feels a little more rookie-ish than I imagined it. I've had some pretty good tournaments, and at the same time had some bad ones. I just haven't put like 3 full days together yet.
Yeah.
And, but, at the same time, a lot of new lakes that I haven't been to, trouble adjusting. Like, when we were at Sandy Cooper, I didn't know it that well. It's a really tough place to move around. I had a couple good, like 16 and then 28 pounds, and then day 3, it just got really blown out, and I didn't really know where to go to adjust. Stuff like that, just trying to grind it out. Got real muddy where I was. But, yeah, just it feels a little bit rookie-ish because it's kind of all over the board. Haven't had too bad of a tournament. Haven't had too flashy of a one yet. But we still got 4 to go, and, I think I can still make the classic if I get my button gear with these smallmouth coming up. For
sure. I mean, we are going into your neck of the woods or your territory. So let's take a step back and I want to know how you got started, because I don't even know this full story personally, but I want to know like where did Josh Douglas get his start fishing, bass fishing? Because I know you grew up in just an outdoor family. You grew up in Minnesota. Yep. But like, where did that love for fishing, the outdoors start? And then who was that person? Because I feel like we all have like that person that kind of led us down the path or like instilled that passion in us.
Yeah, it happened young. Being from Minnesota, fishing goes hand in hand. I've always said it in a lot of my seminar stuff. I was born with skates on my feet and a spinning rod in my hands, which is what we do. And hockey and stuff like that, was kind of like the main deal when you live in Minnesota. So I played year-round hockey and all that. But I come from a divorced family, like real young. It's not a bad thing. It was the only way I really knew since I was about 2 years old. Mm-hmm. So technically I have like 2 good dads. I have my stepdad and my dad. Both of them are into hunting and fishing and stuff like that. Being Minnesota, especially in the late 80s, early 90s, it was all walleye fishing, and toothy critters, northerns, muskies, what I was most interested in. But again, that came with, 2 grandpas and multiple uncles and all that just kind of all took me under their wing. Everybody kind of got remarried when I was really young, so I just known multiple families. So I had a lot of good people looked after. But it was probably my early teenage years. 2 things happened. My uncle, who would be traveling with me today, he was real pivotal in my bass fishing. So he wanted to be a bass fisherman, and he ended up passing away in his early 40s to brain cancer right when I was kind of getting going, right when I was had my first boat and was kind of running around. And he was real instrumental. He took me like up north and stuff like that, and I caught my first smallmouth with him, and that was like I was hooked. And then
4-pounder, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
On a leech?
Yeah, Berkeley. Yeah, good Berkeley power bait leech on a little split shot rig off a point in northern Minnesota. I'll never forget it.
That's awesome.
And then my my grandpa, actually my step grandpa, had a cabin on a largemouth lake, and I would go out there in the weekends after school or when summertime and stuff like that. And his neighbor lived in Alabama, but would summer
up north.
Yeah, and he was big into bass fishing, so he kind of taught my grandpa. And so we roll around with like an old Shannon twin spin, the little fur with an Uncle Josh pork on it, and flip around by the reeds. And I'd take the paddle boat over there.
Yeah.
And I remember my grandpa would keep everything he ever caught. And I'd sneak out at like midnight, and he always had the cage at the end of the dock.
Yeah.
And let the largemouth go. And I know he knew, but he was so mad all the time, I thought raccoons or whatever, and I'd always let the largemouth go. And from then, I was just kind of really hooked. I mean, watching the old Bassmaster, and Al Lindner was pivotal for me. It's what I want to be. That's my main goal, is to be something like an Al Lindner for Minnesota and the country, and just teach people the passion that's mine. Because I just had a lot of good teachers over the years and people willing to teach me. But yeah, it was kind of all I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And once I figured out that, there's only like 10% of Americans playing professional hockey, I kind of slipped away and started going into the fishing realm right away. And everything was just, I didn't necessarily come from money or have a means to it. So I had to bartend full time. I guided during the days. I bartended at night. And Bree and I just had a goal of how we were going to get there. And lo and behold, we're here.
Yeah. Well, and since you brought Bree up, we'll just kind of go down that road for a second, because I know how helpful it is having Tiffany on the road with me. Bree is your wife. She travels full time with you. She's a phenomenal cook. She's been feeding me and Kyle this week at Lake Fork a little bit.
We're like stray cats.
Yeah. We just keep, you feed us once, so we just keep coming back because Tiff is not here this week. And so thankfully she's been cooking for us a little bit too. But just what does it mean to have that kind of support system? Like, how much does that help for you?
Oh, it's huge. I don't want to say that I ever was going to quit, but if I ever was going to quit, it was, she was still working a full-time job at home. I was gone for, 2 months at a time. Being from Minnesota, Idaho, you both know. I mean, it's a long ways away from everything. So you almost have to be gone. It's not worth it to go back and forth as much as it is to see people. And it was tough, cheap hotels and no money and stuff like that. And you string together a couple bad finishes and all that. Things was really tough. And then when I got on the FLW tour, we just made a effort. She was getting pretty good with the camera and stuff like that. And we just kind of got lucky, hit everything at the same time, where sponsors were starting to really look for the video content and us creating our own content. And that's one area that I've just excelled with, marketing. And I do have a hospitality background, went to college for that for a little bit, never did finish college. So I don't want to say that I went to college for it, but
I did the same thing.
Yeah, right. And so that was huge, bartending, all that just was a natural for talking to people and building relationships and stuff. And then, I mean, it got good once she left. It was it was really tough, and we were broke there for a while. But once she started to establish herself as being able to do the video content and the photos and everything that the sponsors wanted, and just keep, you know how it is. We're out there fishing for 2 weeks straight. It's hard to keep up on emails and all that, and for her to make sure the contracts. And it's been huge. And being able to travel around in the Lance camper and all that, and have the family together, good meals at night. I wouldn't trade it in for. I just wouldn't be here. If Bree wasn't on the road. There's just no way.
I think that's one of the biggest things, is it eases that stress on a relationship, right? Because it doesn't matter. You can talk on the phone, you can FaceTime and stuff, but that doesn't have the same feeling as her actually being able to be there. 100%. That's a huge help. I mean, just the simple things, right? Like going to the post office and shipping packages off, or doing laundry, or
100%.
cooking meals. That ends up, me and Kyle been talking about this week, since this is the first event Tiff has missed in 8.5 years, that it adds up to, at a minimum, 2, if not 3 hours a day. That
for sure.
That's 2 to 3 hours every single day that I have extra to focus on fishing or something, to do the other business stuff and content and fishing. And when they're not, then that's put on you. And so there's that time aspect of it, but then just the physical, emotional aspect of it, of being on the road. 'Cause that's one of the number one things I think that takes bass fishermen out, right? Is the stress of home life and being able to flip that switch of on the water, off the water. But when your away time is only the 8 hours that you're on the water, or 12 hours during practice, that's a lot easier.
Right? I mean, even good and bad. Like, of course, it's good to have her there. You have good tournaments, you hug it out, all that, someone going down the road. But even on bad moments, you know, if you get in a little argument or a spiff or something like that, you're not doing it over the phone. Where it can be tough or something. You know, you're just kind of dealing with it right there, like you would be at home. And that was definitely the hardest. And then the dogs. You know, I have Lutzen now, so that's all he's ever known. We literally threw him in the Dirty Max and rolled down the road. That's all he's ever known. But my dog, you know, I had 2 dogs before that, and they think you died or something. They haven't seen you in 2 months, and then you just show up. At least your wife knows where you are, and you're talking to her and stuff like that. But that, I mean, no doubt about it, that was the hardest. And a lot of guys out here, you know, they roll around with a group that makes it a little easier if they're VRBOing and stuff like that, just to have something there. But yeah, there's just no way. You know, like I said, I came in and I still got some rookie tendencies and stuff I got to work through. But at the same time, like timing, I'm sure we'll get into that. But timing was perfect for me in the end, because I also, you know, have a business partner in Bree that keeps us going, keeps the content going good, and definitely makes me look good, you know, for my sponsors for sure.
Which is another thing I wanted to talk about, because you've done a phenomenal job of creating these relationships with all the brands that you work with, and most of them have been really like long-standing deals. You know, you've worked with a lot of the same people and continually like grown with those companies or evolved and started to work with, you know, the companies that you really grew up wanting to work with. And you were doing that way before you ever made the Elite Series.
Yep.
You know, you and Bree essentially started traveling you went full time before you were on the Elites.
Yeah, my first year in the FLW.
Because so like, we'll just start kind of like on the fishing side of it, and then we'll get into the marketing side. Were you like when you started, like what was the goal? Like where did you want to be on
the Elites?
On the Elites.
Oh, so the only goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you went through like a bunch of different winding paths and stuff to get here, right?
Yep.
Fish the Federation, fish the Opens, fish the FLW Tour. Like just kind of talk about that process of like how difficult that was. And at some point we're talking about your moment at St. Clair.
Oh yeah. You know, I've just one motto we always had playing hockey growing up is you're only going to get better if you play with people better than you.
Yeah.
And so I've always just taken that right into fishing. The state of Minnesota was awesome. You know, I still try to fish as much as I can, tournaments and stuff when I'm back at home. I don't get to do nearly as many, but it's a great place to learn because they have everything from flipping and punching largemouth to offshore stuff to small glacial smallmouth lakes. So it's just an awesome overall place to learn. And I had some success pretty early there, and I just kind of kept parlaying it into the end goal, which would be getting to the Elite Series, what was going to get me there. And, you know, at the time, we had Jim Moynia that was out doing his thing always, but it was basically Seth Fighter and I kind of just same time kind of made a run at it.
Like, we're going to go do this.
Yeah, and just, you know, it was more accidental right away, but then you got somebody with you on the road, and I've always chased Seth's coattails. He's just a uber talented fisherman, super good. He's taught me more than I've taught him, I promise you that. And but at the same time, I just knew that, you know, I had an opportunity at a Japanese tackle company in Biovex that sponsored me and gave me my first boat wrap and all that. And they essentially paid for the Opens. And I'm no longer with the company. They're great. Get along with them. Guys, awesome. The brand's mostly only in Japan now, but I still owe them so much for me getting, you know, just being able to have the funds to do it in the first place. Mm-hmm. You know, it was heck on me then, fishing like Bassmaster Weekend Series and stuff, and you qualify for a regional event. And I remember dumping out the quarter jar, like the big quarter jar, and say, okay, Bree, we got 600 some bucks, you know, let's roll. Here we go. And
that was back before gas was $5.50 a gallon.
Yeah.
To put in the dirty max, huh?
Yep, definitely. And just kind of kept going. And I knew I wasn't ready for the Opens. I remember telling a lot of my friends back home, you know, I'm going to give this 5 years. I got an opportunity, and in 5 years, I think I'll learn a lot and be good. And, you know, in the end, it took me 9 years to get to the Elites. Yeah. Came dirty close. One too many times.
Yeah, multiple times.
I mean, even when the big split happened, the year before that, I finished 6th. And Shin Fukai got the 5th spot. And most of those dudes that took that spot didn't even stay for the following, the year after.
Yeah.
So that was a little disheartening. And then the 1 year I didn't get in the top 10 in the points was when they went down to 15 and stuff and grabbed guys to fill in the thing. So it's just, it's stuff like that. But at the end of the day, fishing's fishing, and I just want to go fishing. My goal was definitely to be a Bassmaster Elite Series angler, but a lot of it is I want to have good tournaments, and of course I want to win tournaments, and my goals change as I continue to grow.
As they should.
Right. You start setting the bar a little bit higher and never really satisfied with what you got. I've always been the mentality, act like you've been there before, even if you haven't.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to kind of keep moving through. And for me, the opens was good. The opens were good, but if I would have qualified back then, I don't know if I'd been ready for it yet. I don't know that the opens give you that, 3 tournaments, moving around, endless practice days.
Yeah.
The financial aspect alone, $1,500 entry fee to $5,000 entry fee.
Big
That'll
jump.
bury somebody in a really quick hurry if they're not catching them.
Yeah.
And help me grow sponsorships. And then the FLW came along, and that, again, FLW is extremely competitive. A lot of really good fishermen. I know we've seen it on the elites. Guys qualify from the FLW.
Oh, for
they
sure.
tend to stick around. They don't go nowhere. They tend to be hammers, and that's exactly what that did to me. And there's a couple pivotal guys like Justin Lucas and stuff that were real good, came up through them ranks and said, this is going to be the best thing for you. And it was. My first year was super humbling. I thought it would be easier than it was, and it definitely was really tough. And then, just kind of always fished opens as many as I could through that, because that was the goal. But at the same time, there's a lot of credentials and stuff you can learn just fishing every day, being on the water. So that was probably the biggest thing. But them opens are a grind, like a real true grind to get to the top.
Yeah, I mean, you have 225 boats. I mean, they're filling pretty much every event now. 225 boats plus a co-angler.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those guys have been there for 2 weeks. The lakes get pounded on, and they're so competitive that it's nearly impossible to have a bad event and be able to qualify.
No.
So you have to do it over, the course of an entire year, and only if you're just fishing one division, you have 3 events, and you can't have a bad one.
No.
Like you said, the year you qualified, you got a 3rd, 7th, and a 44th.
3rd, 7th, 44th, yeah.
Barely made
44th at the first one. I knew right then and there that I need 2 top 10s.
Yeah.
And that was one of the only years I only fished just the one, that I could only make it work with the schedule to fish just that Southern Open series.
Isn't that crazy that, you fished so many of them, and then the 1 year that you were only able to fish one series, you made it?
Yeah, I stopped asking questions like that. It's just weird how things work out. But if you put your best foot forward, it will always work out. If you just are willing to, you just can't have it set in your mind how you think you want it to work out. You just got to kind of.
Yeah.
You think that had something to do with the fact that you knew, I have these 3 events. I don't have 9. I have these 3. So it was like you were able to just zero in on your focus more.
Yeah, it did, and I had made a true effort that I not no trash be talk, no nothing. I wasn't going to fish the pro circuit anymore after that, and there's a lot of reasons why I didn't. It was a tough time. There was a changing of the guard there, so it wasn't the same FLW tour. Stuff like that anymore. I watched one of my best friends just win the AOY in the Bassmaster Elites. I've watched my other friends from Minnesota and stuff have success and make it, and just knew that I was starving myself of that overall goal. And I think that had a lot more to do with it than anything. Nothing's ever come easy for me, but when my back's against the wall, I seem to always figure out a way to get something. And for the first time there, it wasn't like, oh, there'll be a next year.
Mm-hmm.
It was like backs against the wall. We got to get in.
Do or die.
And I've had so many close tournaments now. I haven't won one yet, but took second at Rayburn, and that was just a slugfest of talent at that lake. And I did it my way, and I put in the time. And then Douglas Lake, I came really close. Everyone was fishing the bank. I went offshore and just did my thing. And so you build confidence with those things. And once you start building that, you start realizing that this is a more tangible goal than even. I'm my own worst enemy at the end of the day. Like, I'm the one that beats myself up the most, So at the end of the day, you just start building that confidence. And I just knew that will I ever win a classic, make a classic, win a blue trophy? I don't know. I'm going to work my butt off for it. But at the same time, like the biggest goal was to make the Elite Series, and you can hang a hat on that. Like I said, Al Lindner, I want a fishing show. You know, that's what I want. That's what I've always wanted to do, was to teach people fishing and do that. But I need to have credentials. People need to want to listen to me.
Yeah.
And the only way they're going to listen to you if you're competitive.
Yeah.
And so you know, it's all kind of coming together full circle. But like I said, now it's a whole new different set of goals once you get to the top.
Yeah.
You know,
It's interesting too, hearing a little bit of that story and just like seeing how you can't put it together looking forward, but looking back, it kind of makes more sense. Like you saying, you weren't ready for the elites. Like you gained so many skills in that perseverance. Now you're here, you're prepped. You know, if you'd have made it year 2, who knows, you might have burnt and that would have been your last little bit. You know what I mean? Like
for sure.
You build all these skills and how to travel and what life on the road's like and those kind of things. It's interesting. Even Carl, like hearing his story, just the fact of like, he said the same thing. I wasn't ready. If I would have qualified my first bit, I wasn't even ready his first time. You know what I mean?
But the one thing that's constant between nearly everybody's story is that at some point you had the kahunas to be like, all right, we're doing it. You know, and you were blessed with an opportunity with BioVex that said, hey, like we'll support you. And you're like, wow, I mean, you can't turn it down. Like, here we go. Like, I'm going to gamble on this. If it doesn't work out, I'll go back to slinging Miller High Lifes. And
that's right. And I think that's
know.
another big point before we keep going on it, is that I've never just been afraid to go back to guiding and bartending. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, I love restaurants as much as I like fishing. It's in my blood. It's what I've always done.
And you still guide now too, right?
Oh yeah, I'll never stop
in the off
guiding.
season, you still guide.
I have such a good clientele of people, and I truly love guiding. And it was like last year, I wasn't having a good year. I wasn't too happy at the MLF, and things just weren't going my way. And you know, I was behind the 8 ball a little bit with like, you know, forward facing sonar and stuff like that. And I just went back home, got back into guiding not got back in. I started my guiding season and just focused on the things that I was lacking on. And boom, it just, anytime you can get paid money to be on the water, it's just only going to make you better.
Yeah.
And then the relationships and
you have a lot of repeat clients that come up to Mille Lacs and like, hey, we're going to come, we're going to do our annual trip.
Yep.
I'm going to bring my boys and we're going to go catch a bunch of smallmouth.
I put them on them, dude. 20 pounds a day is my thing. That's my deal. It ain't, you got to catch a bass to pay me type deal. It's 20 pounds, dude. You didn't come to Mille Lacs and not catch 20 pounds. I think it's only been 3 times in my career so far that we haven't put somebody on 20. But I can guarantee a good time.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one thing I can guarantee is a good time when we're out there. And they end up being friends, hard to take their money at the end of the day, you know, stuff like that when they're out there. But yeah, guiding to me is huge. And I'll guide when this is all said and done. Like, just seems
just
pretty
like the
awesome.
lifestyle.
Wake up, drink some coffee. Yeah, I just like being out on the water, you know, and teaching people. And when I see them smile, like I would smile out here on Lake Fork when I just put a 6-pounder in the box. Like that's, I don't know. There's just a lot to life, and that's kind of stuff super duper important.
Hey, Josh, could you guarantee I could catch 20 pounds of smallmouth?
Yes.
That's a feat. That is,
I guarantee it.
That is like
I guarantee
I might
it.
have to pay for this guide fee just to see.
Guarantee
Well,
it. I'll do
actually,
this
I
one
might
on
not have to pay for it because
I guarantee it.
he'll bend the rules and be like 20 pounds in the boat. You caught
you
a
at
4
least
pounder.
tried to set the hook on 20 pounds.
You name the time of year, and I'll put you on 20 pounds.
That's
We'll
impressive.
make sure it's during the spawn so you can see.
That's
them
easy.
later.
That's super. That's even easier. I'll just look at the flogger the whole time, tell you when to set the hook. Those are like the most guaranteed 20-pound days.
Yeah.
Like I can have a guy that's 75 years old, can't see nothing, but he's catching 20 pounds. He just doesn't know nothing until I'm like, no. And then he sets a hook.
Start reeling.
Scoop it. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, man. Is there a tournament you're looking forward to the most this year?
Yeah. Honestly, Harris Chain, which I had the worst tournament so far, was the one I generally do really well at. I think that's been one of the bigger adjustments to the elites, is just trying to, like, you got to catch them every day. Like, I had 12 pounds a day and rode that to an 81st place finish. And in every other tournament there, 12 pounds a day gets you paid, you know, but there's just a sheer number of boats. And now, when we're running 90 anglers, like, you got to catch them. You got to catch them because there's open water, there's spots to be. Even though in that tournament, I swear I was around 30 dudes the entire time in that one. But yeah, at the same time, that one I was. And in Oahe, I've never been, but I'm looking forward to Oahe because it's just a new venue. I generally be looking really forward to the St. Lawrence, but this is like your guys' playground, and I've only been there once, so I got a lot of catching up to do. But at the same time, anytime I'm around a smallmouth, I feel good. Fort, Pickwick, offshore tournaments are definitely my strong suit. I love crawling around and using my graphs and just finding sweet spots, and that's
you have good history of ledge events.
Yeah, I like
whether it's
being offshore.
opens or FLW2 or all that. You've always had good Tennessee River ledge fishing events. You think a lot of that comes from like your teaching aspect?
Yeah,
Because you work a lot. Like you go around and you travel and you do navionics seminars and all kinds of stuff that you do. You think that like the study of doing all those seminars and teaching and everything just helps you understand that offshore aspect of it more?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a couple different ways I want to look for them offshore. I love making a big lake small and make my cast to a couple casts. I don't generally excel well if it's just a catch 5. Try to go down the bank and do your thing to catch 5. That generally doesn't sit too well with me. If I can get offshore with them, spend time looking for them, I'd much rather cast 20 of them than one. Yeah. And at the same time, Mille Lacs is a boulder lake. It's a rock lake. Rocks are power on that lake. If I go out, my off day consists of really pissing everybody off because I just idle all day long, and people will be texting me like, "You're gonna stop? You're gonna stop fish anything?" And like, but that's you don't want to do that. You're just kind of, God forbid, you stop and actually fish for them.
Yeah.
But it's just looking for stop signs, and so whether it's a brush pile lake, I love finding people's brush piles. I have no idea how to make one, plant one, nothing, but I'm really good at sniffing them out.
Pontoon boat with a big old giant winch hook on the front.
And I just like that, and offshore, turning my graphs on. And I looked at navionics mapping and contour a lot in my life, so it's like just things just kind of pop up. But you and I talked about it just in general mapping. I don't care what map you're running. That's really what people need to be given a lot of love to, because you are guessing. You are strictly guessing. Once you're offshore, once you're not looking at the bank and what your targets are, you're guessing.
I know.
If you don't have a map,
I'm the biggest believer that maps, like, and especially, like paper maps are cool, but having contour lines, whether it's Lake Master, whatever, navionics, whatever you're running, it has to be good, accurate mapping. If you have good, accurate mapping, then it's amazing how quickly you can break down a body of water if you understand the general principles of a bass. Like Kyle would still be lost.
Honestly, me going out and trying to find fish at our home lake, and I just see Brandon go catch them. It's so easy. I went out on my own, and I was like, I wonder if I can find where fish are. I was miserable out there, like trying to catch a bass. Like it didn't even make sense. I was like, points, ledges, steep breaks. Like I'm just looking, nothing. I think I caught
the buzzwords.
Yeah,
he knows all. Yeah,
it's interesting to see how difficult it is to find fish. Like finding fish is the keyest. That's what makes you. It breaks you.
But if you don't have that mapping, and that's the point, is that you can have all the forward-facing sonar, Mega 360, side imaging, down imaging, all that. If you don't know where to go apply it, what good is it? It would
100%.
take you forever to go find the little subtle points, like the one that you and me were sharing on Fork. Well, I say sharing. The one that you had all of Fork, and I finally got a fish on day 4.
Yeah. You were the nicest of all the people that came in. I will give him that. He was the nicest of all of them that came in.
But that's not a obvious place. It's not a place you can look at the bank and be like, oh, look at this giant point coming off the bank. I'm going to just go start idling around. It's on a straight, flat, nothing bank that happens to have an underwater little flat and hard spot, and someone dumped a giant brush pile on it. But
couple of them.
Yeah, a couple of them.
They feed it. Yeah.
And so but you wouldn't be able to find those places if you didn't have the mapping and the contour lines. And
no way.
Those contour lines are the bass highways. That's how they travel back and forth. I mean, it's no different like deer and elk and all that. Like they travel based on the contour lines of Mother Nature. And so I just think that that's it's such a key thing. But everything in bass fishing, or really any competitive sport, but the more things that you can make that are just habit or become second nature, where you don't have to take capacity of your brain to think about it, I feel like just opens up more. And the fact that you spent so much time studying maps and just having that understanding of that process is what allows you to, be good offshore or have the confidence to go offshore. Because you're like, yeah, this is just like everyday deal. You don't even have to think about it. You just look at it and you're like, yeah, that should be a good spot because of the time of year and the conditions and everything.
Right. And confidence. I mean, just confidence is always going to be your strongest thing in your tackle box at the end of the day. So just whatever you start building confidence on, and that spot you talk about, like that just shows the progression of a tournament. Never been to Lake Fork. Knew I wanted to stay offshore. It was 5.5 feet low, so I figured, a lot of the shallow stuff was going to be burnt. Shad spawn still going on, but not like what I've seen watching live and stuff when you guys were there in previous years. So I just said, this is where I'm going to have my best shot. And I started on the big long points, the easy ones, and quickly figured out, one, they weren't quite there in the numbers that they needed to be, and I'd hope that they kept showing. And two, you figure out pretty quick what's community when you're idling something for so long and you watch 6 different people stop and idle it. You're like, okay, that's going to be, I'm going to have a lot. And that spot, I was avoiding points that had a lot of timber on them.
Yeah.
It was just, I'd come up to one bank, kind of veer away from it and go back out on the stuff that I more wanted to fish. Because I don't generally like to fish in the timber like that. You lose a lot of crankbaits. It's sloppy fishing. But then by day 3 of practice, Fork's not big.
Yeah.
I was running out of stuff, and I was only really getting bites on that real offshore stuff, like right before dark, right away in the morning.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
How much better
they make you feel great. And
6 o'clock on.
6:30 p.m. I'm like, I'm gonna win this tournament. But then I go until 3 o'clock the next day and not get a bite on it. You're like, okay, well, I'd have to check in today. But just the kind of the progression of checking things off the list, and then I started kind of poking around at some of that stuff, and I got lucky too. I think in a lot of other years I'd be hitting a lot more wood, trying to learn those areas and get frustrated, and you can't idle it the way you want to idle it. And right now with it being low, you can, as long as it's not, you don't hit the stuff sticking out of the water.
There's really not that much.
No, you could kind of idle right through, and I found that spot. And I caught like a 6 or 7 pounder there, and then I'm sitting there fishing. I watched 2 big gizzard shad go across the surface. I was like, oh, and that tipped me off to to start looking at those same deals. And I found another one, and then I started getting excited because now I feel like I'm onto where the crappie guys are putting their piles and stuff like that. And I'm like, but even the pile, I didn't actually catch them out of it. I couldn't.
No,
like
it's just a
rats
bait.
Or something,
it's just a bait feeder.
Yeah,
that's all that is.
And those fish were still in. I think where that spot is, there was a really, really, in previous years, they did really well shad spawning in that area. Yeah. And those fish were just kind of off of that break and then on their way out. So it's just kind of and to save my butt. And that's the thing about offshore fishing that I like. You collect waypoints as the tournament goes. I don't generally want to jump around a bunch in practice. If I can, the way I look at it is that first day, I didn't really get a lot done, but I covered a lot of water. And, you collect 2 or 3 waypoints, and then the next day you collect 4 or 5 waypoints. And then that third day you're starting to feel it, and you find the better ones. Next thing you know, you got 15 or 20 spots to fish. And that's going to generally do you pretty good if you can do that.
That's almost exactly what I did.
Yeah.
But what was crazy is...
Just a little better than me, right?
Well, I guess. The schools that I had just happened to stay. But I felt like I found like 7 places maybe. But I found nearly every single one of them after 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was like you found 1 or 2 on the first day, found a couple more on the second day, and a couple more on the third day. But it was like after 5, 6 o'clock, they would just show up. Yeah. And you'd be like, oh, there they are. And you'd catch them. The crazy part is that wasn't just an offshore deal. Right? You'd be like talking to Carl and he'd be like, oh my gosh, the flipping bite's insane. But it was like, it didn't matter what you did after 6 o'clock. They just bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the weights would have been even higher if we would have fished, like started at 9
That's
and
what
fished till 7 or something, or started at 10
making
at 7.
like 7 p.m. calls and stuff would have been awesome.
Oh my gosh, you would have crushed.
And you could probably do it in this type of event, that type of a venue.
Oh,
would
for
work
sure.
Out. I mean, we know our weights when we come in. Once we get in,
I've always wanted them to go to like night weigh-ins with fireworks and concerts and just like cool. Every weigh-in.
Be a good one for this one.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of what it used to be, right? The TTBC. Did you ever fish TTBC?
No.
Gosh, that was such a fun event. was like my favorite one because then it was no points.
Yeah.
No entry
I would
fee. No points.
Slugfest.
You
just don't worry about nothing.
You're like,
catch them.
let's just go catch them. You could go to the concerts at night because there weren't points involved. So you're like, man, if I'm a little bit tired tomorrow, I'm just gonna go have fun and just try to catch them. Like there wasn't any stress to it. It was just fun fishing.
Yeah.
I wish they'd bring that back,
Or
at least like have an event like
Did
that.
they start late? You say too? Like they'd start at 9 and go to 7? Or
No,
was
we
that-
still
okay.
started earlier, but they like you'd have the weigh-in and then there was concerts after the weigh-in, so they'd have like three different bands that have a couple of openers and then like a
that's cool.
headliner. It'd be like
Yeah,
Little
if you
Big
get-
Town or
have to get Lee to get Whiskey Myers to show up for it.
Oh,
Dude, that is such a draw.
Oh, I'd be there. I'd be all about it.
Yeah.
that'd be
And I'd be
so-
all right with a 9 or 10 o'clock start the next day. That'd be fun.
I mean, let's start it.
Let's
Start an
get
event.
Bass
Well,
on
heck,
that. Yeah.
it was light at 5:30, and we didn't go till 7 anyway, so you kind of missed that right away in the morning bite.
Yeah.
Anyways, may as well.
What's the
pick
difference
up the
between
night
9 or
bite.
7?
Yeah.
That would be
hours of
cool.
sleep.
Yeah.
Plus, we get the guides off the water halfway, which I do want to say I've always heard, not horror stories or nothing, but just always, it's a very competitive lake, and I'm a guide, I get it.
Yeah.
They're making money in their day. And I always say to people on the water when they're like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to get in your way. Like, your day is as important as mine, man. We're all out here
Yeah.
fishing. You get 1 day and 2 weeks to go fish. You get after them. But, yeah, I don't know. Everyone I thought gave us a tremendous, at least anywhere I was
I thought
fishing.
they're awesome.
I got in a
Good
few little arguments with anglers, of course, but nothing like just little. Didn't see it my point of view type of way, but but the guides and the locals I thought were awesome, and then watching them chase Lee around, was honestly breathtaking. It was pretty.
It was one of the. It was actually one of the better tournaments that I could remember, as far as like that from that aspect, right? Of not having that many local people on the water, or they were there.
Yeah.
But not many were fishing, or they just kind of fish random stuff here and there. But I never had someone like where I'd show back up to a place and a guy that was watching me was there or anything. And I felt like a lot of the guides didn't book trips during our event. I mean, there were a few guys and I get that, but I felt like a lot of them made a conscious effort to not book trips, which, I mean, my hat's off to them for doing that, because that's money out of their pocket that they're doing. So I have a lot of respect for that.
During a good time of year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it does,
sure.
but it does do like good publicity for their lake too, in a way. You know what I mean?
Oh, it
Like
keeps
if
them calm,
everybody's
for
smashing
sure.
them,
Keeps
like
them busy.
it
Yeah.
keeps people coming back to the lake, which makes sense.
Yeah. The more we're catching them, putting it out there, the more
It's
people
marketing.
want to
Wanna
come
get
here.
Get in on that. Yeah.
They're going to hire those guides.
Yep.
And good
come.
thing, there's so many camera crews and stuff now too that people are hiring the guides to be camera boats and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
noticed
Oh, yeah.
out there, so there's
Yeah.
still
True.
work to be getting in on
True,
out there
yeah.
Very
without
true.
getting everyone's hair. But yeah, I don't know. I just always like Texas. I think Texas lives and breathes bass fishing, and
Yeah.
we're on the right
Sweet.
side for them.
I mean, some people say like this is where it actually started,
I'd say that.
like East Texas,
Yeah.
Rayburn stuff. If you go back in the history of it, like some of the very first bass tournaments before like BASS was even a thing, some of the first stuff was like East Texas.
Yeah.
Rayburn.
Texas is just a cool place in general.
It is.
Like I think I relate to a lot of like the outdoor scene with Texas is cool. Like everything, like it's a part of the culture.
It's got some west to it too. Like my
Yeah.
dad lived in Colorado, so I spend a lot of time out west. I know you guys are obviously out west. It's just got a little bit of it's a huge state, obviously, and even western Texas is pretty west, but it's got some cowboy to it. It's got some a lot of cowboy to it.
Yeah.
And it's open. It's like it's a very open. Like you don't feel like you're next door to everybody.
Yep.
Like in a lot of the cities and stuff, it's like there's a lot of wild open land.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it should be, right? Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah.
Should be a bunch of
Except for
wide
all the
open land.
bass I catch. I don't think I've caught.
What
I
bass?
did catch I did catch one bass. I did.
I know.
I had like a 1.5 pounder.
We're gonna have to go against and get redemption. It's pretty nice outside
It
today.
is nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Which you're going to shoot content today, right?
Yep.
You and Brig are gonna go shoot content. Which is probably, has that been, from a sponsor aspect, has that been like your, I guess like your little stronghold, or like something that you felt like separated you?
Oh, for sure.
That gave you value before you had Elite Series credentials or anything. Like you
definitely.
were able to provide value and stuff that those sponsors needed.
And a lot of that, I talked about how, I was going to leave the pro circuit. Just wasn't too happy. Wasn't performing there anymore. And a lot of it goes with, your mental health. How happy are you being there and stuff like that, and all that. And so I kind of had, it came with a ton of confidence. I told my sponsors basically, I got so many years to do this. I'm going to have big days on the water coming up. I want to do it with a Bass logo on so that it counts. And
gamble
for me,
bit.
And they backed me 100% and didn't care what I was fishing. None of that, just kept doing. So that's big. And it's a feather in the cap, and it is something that I work really hard on. Because again, that is the end game. I want to show whether, I don't know if that's a necessarily TV show anymore, but like, I grew up watching the Hank Parkers and the Bill Dances and Roland and just all that. And that was to me what a pro bass fisherman was. And I'd watch the Bassmaster top 100s, top 150s, all that kind of stuff. But, that is the end game. So yeah, doing that. And another thing is, I don't care if you're BP himself, you know what I mean? Like, you're only worth something if you're selling product, you're putting stuff out there. And I just found that it's so much easier on me if I'm using products that I truly believe in and want to throw. And then it's easy. Then you're out there having fun. But there's nothing worse than when there's nothing worse than when you got to go out there and try to force something.
You're like shielding.
Well, because then you're a used car salesman.
You are,
right?
and it'll show. And the sponsors, you lose. You won't start performing with your sponsors, and you'll end up switching out sponsors a lot and stuff like that. And so I just always was like, fishing's my passion. I'm not going to let nobody take that from me. So for me, the equipment that I use is what I wanted to use, since I was a kid and had that dream of being an Elite Series angler. I think that's the coolest part to me is just, like I don't want we have competitive products and stuff like that, but still just to be able to have, just
you can say whatever you want. This podcast doesn't have,
like just like
this is an unsponsored podcast.
Okay,
this is like my free form.
Right.
Where, like there's no. There's no.
But there's a ton of good rod and reel companies out there. But if you look at the legacy of a company like G Loomis or something like that, and to sport their logo, to have my photo up at ICAST. I mean
Loomis was originally a Northwest company.
I think they made a lot of these companies step up their game and stuff like that to get the product that we all have to use today. So, so much of it is awesome, and I just. Like I said, I don't know. I try not to put the cart in front of the horse too much, and at the same time, but once you get here, now it's all about Big Blue. I gotta get me one of those, and once I get one, I'm sure then I need to get another one and an AOY and all that kind of stuff. But
I mean the thing is that the goal seems like a tangible product, right? Like it's the blue trophy. But the blue trophy is not actually the thing you're chasing.
No.
It's not the physical hardware that you're chasing. It's the feeling that comes with that. That is what you're chasing. That is also why that when you do capture it, it only elevates you wanting to get another one that much more, because now you felt that feeling. Your body and your brain says, wow, that was awesome. And then the only way to feel that is to do it again. Right? That's like you become this addict of winning. And
it's a good drug.
It's those feelings and those moments that become the driving force. There just happens to be this physical representation of it that everyone can relate to, but it's not actually that trophy. Like, that trophy has the same meaning whether it's sitting on the floor or whether it's sitting up on a shelf with a shining light on it.
Is the feeling like more of like just the understanding that you bested the best kind of deal? Like, is it like, you know what I mean? Like you've beat some of the best guys in the world fishing that week.
There's a little bit of that, but I think I don't know how many I've watched now in a row, but I've seen like every single guy win an Elite Series trophy the last couple of years. The coolest thing for me, I think, is that you beat the best of the best that week, but it's the culmination of all of the years that happen in that one moment, right? So like for Josh, when Josh wins a blue trophy, it's not that week, right? It's not the build up from Monday of practice to Sunday of the end of the event. It's 20, 30 years of daylight to dark. I mean, you're talking tens of thousands of hours of time on the water and like all of these struggles and dumping your penny jar out and counting $600 in it. And like, it's like, and so it ends up being all of these moments and all of this emotion, good and bad and indifferent, that build up, and then it all explodes in that one moment.
Yeah.
And so like that moment becomes the culmination of all of your struggles and things that happen. And then it's like,
it almost validates those struggles.
Yeah,
like,
like,
hey, I did it for a reason.
you lift this blue trophy. And so like, that's the physical thing, but the feeling of lifting that blue trophy is kind of based off of all of that struggle and like all of the things that get you to that point.
Yeah.
It's like all the things that lead up, and like the more struggle you've had, like the more time that you've had building up to that, the more that means. That's why you see grown men cry on stage.
Yeah.
Because
it's too easy.
If it was just a week, like if you just showed up for a week, you're like, yeah, I've been bass fishing for a week and won a trophy. It wouldn't be that much emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. I haven't won one yet, but I had plenty of top 10s and opens. I had top 10 to Forest Wood Cup, FLW stuff, top 10s, third place. Had chances to, I never had a chance to beat Lambert at Kentucky Lake, lapping the field, but still third place was like a big one. You like take him out of the field, and I had a chance to do it. But it wasn't until 2020 when we came back from the COVID break, and Mesayuki beat me at Rayburn, last guy up. And I think, the language barrier was there, so we didn't quite think, he was no to everything.
Yeah.
And he just didn't quite know what I was saying at the time. And me and him are super tight. He definitely he won that tournament, but I got to taste it for like a second. Even Chris Bose thought it was over, because he was like heckling me like I thought I was snatching a trophy and going to the classic. And none of my other events, I don't want to take nothing away from them all, because they all meant a lot at the time and stuff, but nothing meant like what that felt like. Like I put on a good face and I clapped, but I bawled my eyes out when I got in my truck. You know what I mean? Like bawled my absolute eyes out. And then
because you were that close.
Yeah, and then we had Florida, and then we had Douglas, where Dice K won, and like I had a chance there. I was running around thinking, man, one more bite, I'm gonna win it, and it was just all of a sudden everything kind of in my brain changed. It was like, no, this is like, I have to feel this. This is what I need to do. And the best in the field, of course, that comes with it. But I'm also the type of guy too that maybe this holds me back sometimes. I'm a true like, it ain't no fun if the homies ain't getting none type of person. Like I'm generally will be one of the first people to congratulate you. Like I just don't ever think anyone else's success is going to slow me down of mine. Like I'll get mine. And you know how good it feels when somebody you don't generally talk to all that often comes up and gives you an attaboy or something like that. Then you're just like, or somebody you've looked up to for.
You've earned that respect.
Yeah. And I think it's just respect at the end of the day. And as I said, I want to do a lot in the sport, and I'm going to. But at the same time, if in the end, if somebody's like, Josh is a good dude and a good fisherman, I think that's all I really need at the end of the day to feel like I've done what I wanted to do.
100%.
What's it been like to see fighters like trajectory? Because you knew Seth way before he was.
It was never a question.
Seth fighter he is
all
now.
Honesty, it was never a question.
Yeah. And that's what everyone from Minnesota says, right? They're we saw that kid and we're like, yep, he's going to make it. He's going to crush him. He just had to get it on his own. We need to get him on here, too.
Yeah, he'd be a good one. Just need to take a couple of dart breaks. But
no, I want to smoke a dart with freaking Seth on podcast.
Right? No, Seth, dude, Seth is the one in Minnesota. And it's funny, playing hockey my whole life, I played against guys that went on to play NHL. And it was just a different caliber. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could just see
it. They'd sit them halfway through the second period and they'd already have 6 goals type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, these guys are good. And Fighter's just always that way. And he's a fishing rat. He fished everything and anything and just collected trophies, and that's what he did. And it was never a question whether Seth would make it. It's honestly more of a relief to see him win the AOY. He's like, okay, good, all right. You know what I mean? Like, okay, good. He is that damn good, because it felt like he was that good. And every now and then, I'd have my tournament against him. More often than not, he'd have his and chasing his coattails around. But he's super duper talented of an angler. Seth does it his way, which is one thing I think is pretty, admiring of him. And but but yeah, no, it's been super cool. And like I said, it's just something nobody ever, I don't think we really questioned. And for us both, essentially starting the Opens at the same time, his trajectory went up right away. It only took him a couple years to get in.
But he probably questioned himself more than anybody.
Oh, for sure he did. Yeah, no, he's a very down to earth. I mean, he's got a persona about him and stuff like that, but he's way more calculated than he even wants anyone to believe that he is. And and no, he definitely did. And I can remember even a couple, serious heart-to-heart talks like his. Yeah. He knows,
After the first few years on tour, like I just remember talking to him, and then you read a lot of the articles and stuff now. Before that lacrosse event where he finished second,
I think he was done.
He was
not
like
mentally, but by the points wise, I think
he was kind of on his way like out the door of like, and that was my shot, and like I'm just done.
He wouldn't even talk about it then. Like it was just like, that's my worst nightmare. Let's not talk about that. You know what I mean? And type stuff. But again, it's a lot
it clicked.
Yeah,
at that
back
one
against
event.
the wall does a lot to an angler, to anybody in the sport. And he put the time in at the river, and not even a place he honestly knew all that well. I know he fished more northern Minnesota, mid, and we have pool 4 and 5 in Minnesota. We fished quite a bit. And he went there and he got the job done, which then it's just so funny how things fall into place. Is what you said. Looking forward, you can't see it. Looking back, you can see how the puzzle just turns into a picture. You know what I mean? And like he qualified, he stayed. That qualified him for Mille Lacs, a tournament that he wasn't even supposed to be in. Yeah. The first time everyone's going to Mille Lacs, the dude could mow his lawn. He didn't need to go. Oh, he didn't really. You know what I mean? He just all of a sudden it becomes away. Now it'd be a heck of a lot more competitive of a tournament than that first one was going to be, just because, and then he blows that one out of the water. He turns into fighter man, and the confidence kept coming with the skill he already had. And he's a very good fisherman. Yeah. It's good to see him become an angler of the year. Like I said, it makes it like not necessarily tangible because, like I have, I always want to beat him. That's just how it goes.
So
he wants to beat me. Right. That's, we're all competitive. But at the end of the day, I mean, the dude, I know he's got my back. He always shoots me straight, and he's taught me an immense, there's just certain people in this world that are pivotal for you getting there. And, Seth and I always kind of had that little bit of a bond, and he's just taught me just a lot of stuff, the real deal that I was able to take and have good tournaments. So
now we'll flip the script the other direction, and he was actually our first guest. Old Chatfield.
Yeah, Chatfield.
You've mentored him a lot.
Yeah, Chad has
because he's spent a lot of time. He traveled with you. That's probably the reason that I even know Chad is because he was traveling with you as a co-angler when you were fishing a lot on the pro side of stuff.
Yep. Chad is first of all, to give respect, he's got a ton of good mentors.
Oh, yeah.
And continues with you to this day. He's got you. Lucas always looked out for him. Me, and then before me,
he's just a good
Figgy,
dude.
Yeah, Seth's tournament partner, Figgy. Took him around, and then even before all that, when just some good Minnesota legends that just kind of, and it's because he is such a good dude. He knows how to keep a secret. He doesn't need to impress nobody by he's not trying to hang out with you to get what you've to hang on to your coattails to get to a certain
his
place.
Good intention,
and he's just an absolute peach of an individual. But it's the way he works, the way he like sees things and works to make things go. And he like me, a lot of people don't know it because he broke every Bassmaster co-angler record I think that there is. Like 9 to 10. I mean, I'm butchering this, but like 9 to 10 top 10s.
Oh, he went on a crazy roll.
That's just, it would be insane to do. I don't even think the Vandy Hammer himself could pull that one off. But he went like his first 7. He won his first 7 or 8 tournaments not getting paid.
Yeah,
and I could see it, and I was able to roll around like on, Navionics. I had to stop and do visits at Bass Pros and Cabela's and dealers. And so that kept gas in my truck. So Chad just kind of piggybacked on that. And every now and then, I'd look down and there'd be a $20 bill sitting in the thing. And that was good enough for me, But he gave me somebody to hang out with because at the time, Bree wasn't around. Yep. Yeah. And then he joined the FLW tour. And he technically made the FLW tour as a co-angler and just couldn't get the means. I think his heart was more on the bass side, and he was going to tackle the the opens as a pro and stuff. And I think he even top 10 his first one as a pro.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, at Toledo Bend or something like that. So he's just an incredible one. He's like a little brother to me in all reality. I know he's like a son to Bree. Bree feeds him and make sure they talk hair products all the time.
He does have a nice flow.
He's got some flow.
I'm jealous of
doesn't he?
that.
Oh, yeah.
I was not blessed with the good hair genes at all.
No, me either. Facial. He can't touch the beard.
No.
He looks a little squiggly.
There's something to be said for that. It's like it falls off the top of your head.
But
lands
girls
on.
down here, you turn into a man is what happened. Chad's still working it.
Maybe if your hair keeps falling off the top of your head, Kyle, your beard will keep
I might eventually
thickening
get a
up.
full beard.
Yeah.
I got the stash. I can hold a stash down, but the rest of it's just kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
You got it good, like down on the middle,
just patchy, dude.
the middle part. But you can't even
I look
grow.
at you guys and I'm just like, dude, how does that happen?
You just got to fish long enough and never shave it, and then eventually you're like, oh wow, it kind of came in spots, filled right in.
Just grow your mustache long enough it covers up your little gaps on the sides.
Go Sam Elliott mustache.
You'd have you've kind of rocked that little look before, if I remember right.
Just go stash.
The artist look.
Just straight.
The artist look.
Yeah, I like it.
The little hipster artist.
Little roll it. Yeah. Dang. How like kind of like Brandon talking about Chad in that sense, like how does that mentor, what does that mean to you to kind of like help Chad in that understanding? I'm sure he has he has a ton of mentors, but like helping people, helping grow the sport, not just Chad, but helping like show other people that route that is possible. Like, because from up north, it's big, but it's not as big. But to grow that understanding that, hey, it is possible. You can do this. This is how you do it. You're kind of like establishing the playbook. How does that feel to you?
Yeah. Oh, it's huge and giving, and it's a give and take. Well, I'm a big rap fan, right? Mm-hmm. So I just learned, like, you watch guys like Rick Ross do songs with 21-year-olds and they keep each other relevant. They keep each other on the time, stuff like that. And it's just so important to be learning. I've always said, if you stop learning, you're dying. And that goes for us most importantly, because when you're 20, you're just a sponge for information, and it's easy to get caught in what has worked and expect that to always work, and then it doesn't, and then you don't want to adjust as much. And so just giving, we said earlier, like my offshore stuff, it's so funny when I think about it. Bree and I moved to Tennessee to learn how to fish the Tennessee River, because I knew every year we're going to have events there as I grew in the sport. Yeah. And just the teachers I had then that taught me how to fish ledges, that I wouldn't have known that. They helped my learning curve all the faster. And the same, like guys like John Garrett, hugely taught me a lot. And that was the good thing about the opens, was it's pretty much you can be an open book and talk to each other and stuff like that. And you build a little group of individuals. But yeah, being able to, mentor Chad, but dude, he was just as he never swears. He's like the goodest, that's not a word, the best. So, like, he was probably a better influence on me than I was on him. But then, I'd prick his brain. We'd have a 20-hour drive back home, be like, oh, you drew Brandon. What'd you guys do? You know what I mean? Like all that. But, one thing, if I have any regret in my 9 years, I wish I would have given the opens a co-angler run the first couple. Right. I was so anxious
to build that. Build that groundwork a little bit more.
Yep. And watching Chad kind of break it down and listening to him after tournaments, and he got to see people have great days, and then he got to see people have terrible days. He got to see people make good adjustments. He got to see people make bad adjustments, and how that handled. He got to watch people melt down. It's only noon. Yeah. Like, how many times from noon to 3 o'clock my tournament came together? Oh,
all
that was
the
so
time.
much. I've lived by that. Your last cast is important as your first one. We all get there and everything's right on the first one. You're feeling your crankbait, everything, you're trying to do it. As the demons start to creep in your brain, next thing you know, you're not even actually fishing the bait the way you're supposed to.
No, you're just going through the motions.
You're just going through motions and trying to make it happen. You're thinking about what you're going to say on stage. To make it pain not as bad. So I got to see Chad go through them processes, and luckily for me, I got to learn through him during that of what was working, what wasn't working, stuff like that. So I think it was a good way both, but it'll just be a matter of time before. And I want him here too, because he's like, I trust a few people in the world, but I trust Chad with my life, and he's just one that
he'd be such a good one to have on the elites.
Oh,
and he'll make it eventually.
Oh yeah, and that's what kept me going, was guys like you. I mean, Jeff Creed. I remember all of them telling me, just keep going, and you'll get in. And just even when you feel like, man, this is just getting more hard, impossible, all that kind of stuff, and it's going to happen, and then it does. And it's like, I think that, again, that just brings confidence that I can win blue trophies. I can make a run at an AOY. I can definitely make a classic, you know.
You can pick guys out pretty quick and just look and like if they got it or they don't have it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can definitely see whether it's a mental thing or just a pure natural talent fishing thing. You can pick out guys pretty quick.
I wish I had the natural. I have the natural ability to absolutely love fishing more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
That's what I think
So
it is. I
that's
think it's
huge.
like obsessiveness. Like
I have to
you
fish.
you like that's what I see like a little bit, and I'm not like huge into the world of understanding it, but like you have guys that are obsessed with it, like the actual fishing side of it, and then you have guys that are obsessed with the thought of what it is to be a pro. Like you guys will go fish today, probably. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah.
you guys are gonna. There's guys on their off days like, I don't want to fish. Like I don't even want to
Go
fish when
dolphin
it's
or
like,
something.
like you guys can't live without fishing. Like that is your life. And then there's guys that do it because they see the glamour of what it could be to be a pro. Like there's certain guys that have that, and there's certain guys that are just, I'm doing it for a paycheck. You know?
And some just I've seen just can't handle low times.
Yeah.
Just they can't get through that. And I think for me, I had enough bad tournaments in my life to just know I'm just not afraid of a bad tournament anymore. Like,
Well, it's a
I'm just
losing
really,
game.
truly not. Yeah, it is a losing game. It is. And you don't get graded necessarily always by your, last tournament. I mean, you're only as good as your last tournament, but it's the credentials you build along the way that
You got to take
turn you
those
in- Yep.
those small wins. You
And
know,
if you're
like-
not afraid, like you think Greg Hackney's afraid to take 90th? No. No, he's going to go do his bite and he's going to catch him.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid of that.
Yep.
Earlier in my career, I was a heck of a lot more. I was more afraid to fail than I was eager to succeed. If that makes any success at all, I was more.
Yeah, and it seems like the same thing, but it's not.
it's not at all.
Changes your thought process.
Yep.
That's why I would say loving it's not enough.
Yeah.
Because like you get your teeth kicked in enough, you learn not to love it.
Well, yeah.
That's
Well,
what
like you love fishing.
Yeah, but you have to physically and mentally not be able to live without it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you love it, you're gonna get your teeth kicked in enough times. Like you won't.
Like
You learn not to
you
love it.
love the fishing, or you love tournament fishing?
Any
that
of
right?
it.
Because I feel like fishing, like you still
can
could have a
love
bad
it.
day, and then like the same as like I go out and catch no fish with you and Carl catching tons of fish. Today I still want to go out and fish because I'm like, there's a chance that I catch fish. You know what I mean?
Well, and there is a big competitive factor.
Yeah.
We're all like, you got to be extremely competitive to want to do this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You got to want it.
Yeah.
Bass fishermen are some of the most competitive people
Cutthroat action.
ever. Because it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a badminton tournament out there, and dudes
Man.
be breaking their ankles and kneecaps
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to win at badminton. Or
All I
something.
hear you
Like,
guys talking about is who's going to win in a wrestling match. or
I
who's
just
gonna
wanna beat
win in a
Carl in
race between-
everything.
See, that's all.
Yeah.
That's all it is. The
It's
competition.
bragging.
You
And it's
wanna
not
be-
even like it's just the fact that you like bested somebody. You could just talk smack. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Like not the only reason, but like you know what I mean. Like us wrestling or something like stupid. You just want to like, I don't know. There's just some like instinct in us that you want to just like talk smack to your
That's
buddies.
why I'm gonna beat Matt up.
Oh, Matt.
So I'm gonna wrestle Matt.
You know
It's
about
like he's
that?
been training.
Yeah,
he has been training, and I'm still gonna whoop him.
dude. I'm not gonna underestimate that. I want to underestimate Matt.
I don't underestimate him, but I'm gonna.
Was he a wrestler too?
No,
No, just a
I'm just
bar wrestler.
gonna
Good.
double leg him right to the ground. Power double.
You're gonna have speed, but I think he's gonna underestimate you, or you're gonna underestimate his.
I mean, he has a weight advantage, and he's
strength.
stronger than you think.
Yeah.
And he's probably in better.
he's a working man. Yeah.
He has probably better cardio than what you think because he has been running. Been seeing the times he's been putting up.
Yeah, pretty good.
not bad.
Pretty impressive.
Who would be this is for both of you guys. Who would be the guy you wouldn't want to wrestle? Like just strictly wrestle. Who would be the guy
That's
that
easy.
on the elites?
That's easy. Nobody. I'm a hockey player, and we play the same game
Okay.
here. I don't roll around with dudes on the ground. That's just we just fight them in the fight
Well,
when they touch our goalie. That's
who
all.
would you want to box or like a hockey fight with? Or who wouldn't you want to hockey fight with? Who would you be afraid to hockey fight with?
Lee Livesey looks like he's got a jaw that just doesn't do nothing. You know what I
And
mean?
it's
Like,
way up there.
yeah, it's way up there.
Yeah.
Keith Combs probably got a
Short guy like
haymaker
me.
and a half.
What
too.
about
That-
Caleb Summerall?
Oh yeah,
Caleb
one,
was scared.
yeah.
We were talking about this today. Caleb would be the guy that I wouldn't want to go to.
That'd be a good one. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to wrestle Prosnick.
Oh, no, yeah.
If he gets a hold of you with those
You're
bare
in big
hands.
trouble.
Like,
Yep.
he's a big
It's a
teddy
grizzly
bear, but if you're on the
it's
bad
turned into a
side,
grizzly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Prosnick's awesome, but I wouldn't want him to get a hold of me with two hands. That's be not pretty sight. Yeah.
no, you shake his hand, you're like, good God.
Dude, I saw him freaking bare hand fish, like flipping him in, just and it's just like
Midair.
Yeah, they just like, dude, like didn't stop. I was like, dude, that freaking dude just grab you and you'd be gone.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to wrestle
Vulcan
with him.
death grip, just
Yeah, that's a scary deal.
I'd be on his back. I'd look like one of those little like hitchhiker birds on the.
Just holding on,
like, yeah.
trying to like roll with the motions. Yeah.
oh man.
I'd look like a little leash just swinging around back there. But oh well. Well, this is a good one.
Yeah,
Appreciate you coming on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We got. I know you got some content to go shoot, so we won't keep you too long. But appreciate you coming on, telling your story. We'll have to have you on again.
Yeah.
Try to win a blue trophy.
Yeah.
Here shortly.
That one.
Josh, I have to ask you,
Yeah.
should I put you on my fantasy team for Pickwick?
I've never been there before.
I'm calling it. I'm calling it.
yeah.
There's gonna be. This might be the one.
Josh is a good pick.
I feel like this could be the one, and then Pickwick could be the one
After all
the blue
the
trophy.
ledge conversations.
Yeah,
we
I
just
literally
had,
I
just
picked
like,
up all that stuff, and I was like, okay, I know this is a ledge deal, and I'm like, I'm
I
gonna
hope it's alleged.
Well, like,
I
yeah,
don't know.
like,
I hope
historically or whatever. You guys, I heard you guys talking about it. I'm like, I'm gonna put Josh on my.
and he'll
fantasy
probably
team.
have a lower percentage. This might be where you can pull ahead of my grandpa
Yeah,
since
Freaking
you're getting smoked by
coming
him
for
in
Gramps,
fantasy.
dude.
Grandpa beating you up. In
Dude,
fantasy.
he
Gramps.
got
talks
all the insider
He
info,
talks
too.
so much smack, dude, and he's like,
My grandpa texts him talking smack all the time.
and he's up by like a couple hundred points, and I had a bad derb, and I've just talked to him like, there's no way I can beat. Last year he smoked me. This year he's smoking me, and every time I see him, he's and I've started to not put Brennan on my team
I was
just
just
for
gonna
the
ask that.
fact.
Do you put him on there every time?
Because he picks him every time.
I was
so
gonna say,
I have to do
Grandpa
something
for sure
different.
does.
yeah.
Yeah,
Grandpa's an OG. He's definitely putting Brandon on
Oh,
there
for
every time.
sure.
Well, that he's going to ride. I mean, what are you? Are you number one right now? Do you look at the points this year? I can't keep up with whether you look
I don't
at
look
the
at
points
the.
or not.
I haven't looked at the points in like 8 years, but
I know that's
you
your
know
deal.
the
but I,
place. You don't.
but
know
I
the
know
points.
that I'm leading because they can't hide that.
Yeah.
But when I'm in second, I assume it's by 100 points. When I'm in
Yeah.
first, I assume it's by 1.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. I like that.
And then I
So
make
you don't
better
always put him
decisions.
on there, and that's hurting, you know.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
killing
this
it.
year it hasn't helped him.
No, it's been Gramps. He's got it coming. I'm gonna have to like cut his internet out in Montana and just hope that he can't put his team
you
together.
had such a good team this time, and still got beat this last
I've got a
week,
new.
didn't
I've
you?
got a new strategy.
You have 3 dudes in the top 10.
I've got a new strategy. High percentage guys, and just hope Grandpa fails.
Well, you almost, if Grandpa's going to pick him every time, you almost have to not pick him.
That's what I'm saying. I got to make some ground up.
pick up ground. You gotta, but you also practice with him, so you kind of see if he's on him or not.
Dude,
Dude,
doesn't practice with
the
me.
whole I don't
No, you-
practice,
Oh,
but
no, I know.
No,
that.
on the water.
Oh, you don't even go out there at all. Okay.
No.
sometimes I feel
He's
like
got edits to do.
Yeah.
bad practices are good tournaments.
Happens all the time.
That's the
Oh,
weird
for
thing.
sure.
It's like
That's
because
almost a
you come
given,
into it
isn't
with
it?
like a way more like not to be like the practice understand it, but like you come into it with like a more open mind. Like when I hear Brandon talk about practice, he doesn't adapt as well. If he has a good practice, he doesn't adapt as well in tournaments. That's just like an observation. Is like because you're set on like
Yeah.
it worked in practice. I'm sticking to
guilty of that for
practice.
sure, yeah.
And like so much of fishing, like there's so much change from the first day of practice versus your last day of the derb because there's just the time, the cycle,
Yeah.
the temperature. You guys have had consistent weather all year during the tournament.
No.
Like it's been like
terrible.
good, terrible, terrible, or like good, terrible, good, terrible.
Yeah.
Like it's never been a consistent.
It's always been
tournament.
that way. I knew that was the way it was when I qualified. I'm like, okay, here we go. Don't expect nothing, right?
Yeah. Elite Series tournaments coming to town. Insert cold frontier.
Yeah.
38 degrees in Florida. Here we go.
Yeah. Those are lovely.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
It's
heck
good
yeah.
stuff. We'll have you on again. And looking forward to the rest of the year.
Yeah, should
Been
be
good.
fun.
So
Should be fun. You let us know where we're practicing on St. Lawrence. I'll be there bright and early every morning ready to go.
you just come jump in the boat.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll make up for it. All right. We'll see you guys later on the next one.